of you guys like reading literature? Okay, good. One person? Just 1 out of 3? Okay, we'll see. I'm going to show you how to read literature the way that it is supposed to be read in a very, very short story. And when I say short, it is very, very short. It is 1 page. It is less than 348 words. That's how short this story is. And this is the David Rice method. My name is Linda O'Neill. Let's introduce the kids. Tell us your grade and your name, please.
I'm in 11th grade. I'm Atticus Amador.
I'm in 9th grade. I'm Lola Amador.
I'm a senior and I'm Star.
So we have all different levels. This is excellent. Okay, we're gonna start. And Lola, you seem like a pretty smart person. Here's the story up here for anybody who wants to kind of follow along. Lola, would you please start the story?
Oh, okay. In 4th grade.
No,
What?
that was great. You're a great reader. A little slower. Start from the beginning.
Did I have to read like the title and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Okay. Death of a Writer.
Okay, that was great. That was wonderful. All right, Death of a Writer. So you read really fast. Yes, slow it down.
I don't
We're
know how.
so death.
Like pronunciation.
No. She's got it great. No, you're reading great, but she's so fast. Let's examine the word death.
Okay.
What is the word death? I mean, death is such a heavy. What do you think of that word when you hear that word?
The absence of life.
Unalive.
What did you say?
Unalive.
Unalive. Yeah, Lola.
The absence of life.
The absence of life.
You're just dead, man.
You're just dead, man. You're just dead, dude. Is death a good thing? Is death a bad thing? It's in the title. It's important, right? So is it a good thing or is it a bad
I
thing?
would say consider it a negative.
It's a
Negative.
It's a negative thing.
Yeah.
It's a bad thing. Why is it a bad thing?
That's just that's just the first thing that comes to mind. Whenever like somebody says that, you don't really see something good out of it.
I don't see it as like inherently good
Yeah.
or bad, but sometimes like depending on the situation, death would be good. But you know, if someone's like 100 years old or like stage
It's time
2
for them to go.
cancer.
Yeah, they're waiting to die. You
Or
know.
when a dog
Or
has
in pain.
rabies.
They're in pain. Yeah, so death can be a good thing. Death of a writer. Okay, so is this a good thing or a bad thing? Is it good when writers die?
I feel like we'd have to read it.
Oh, okay, we have to read it first because it could be a good thing because not all writers are good. Some writers should die.
I mean,
That's
like,
right.
you never know. Like, it depends what the person is, you know.
Yeah, well, what kind of writer should die?
I wrote Mein Kampf.
Hitler's Mein Kampf. Okay. Well, I mean, he just wrote a book. He's expressing his opinions. I mean, isn't that freedom of speech? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Hitler should have any freedom of speech.
Yeah. So we should have just like time travel, go until like, okay.
Assassinate him.
Yeah, he was like, I got this book, you should read it, it's awesome, it's called Mein Kampf, and he's like, but I want you all dead, and then you shoot him, like, boom, boom, right?
Yeah.
Death of a writer.
Futuristic.
Okay, alright, yeah, okay, alright. So we know that this story is about death of a writer, right? We know that somebody's going to die, right? So the title means everything. Let's see, Atticus, why don't you read the first line?
In the 4th grade.
In 4th grade, great. That was fantastic. You're a fantastic reader. Yeah, you're wonderful. I love what you do. Okay, in 4th grade, how old are you when you're in the 4th grade?
8, I think.
You're
Yeah, 8. I don't know. I don't remember.
Y'all don't remember when you were
Yeah,
8?
that's different.
No, 1st grade you're 7.
I was like 12.
No, yeah. Okay, then it might be 8. Or like 9.
It was the 1st grade I was like 7.
She's
It's great.
in 7th grade.
Wow. I think we need to get you guys some Provigen or something like that. Old people's medicine. No, okay. So I think about 8. Okay, so if we look at somebody who is about 8 years old, right?
I was a kid gonna die.
I don't know, me. Now, when you're 8, do you know the difference between right and wrong?
Yes. I mean, I hope so.
It's kind of what you're raised off of.
So you're still learning.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're 8 years old. You should know the difference between right and wrong. So he's 8 years old. English teacher. How many of you guys like your English teachers right now? Do you like English teachers? Okay, good. Everyone likes English?
I don't like English. I like my teacher though.
Okay, why don't you like your English class?
I just suck at English.
Why do you suck at English?
I'm dyslexic.
Oh.
I feel
And
it.
like I cannot like process what I'm reading.
Ah, so it's hard to like
I
process.
had to read it like multiple times and I still won't even understand it.
Do you know what? This is what this process is all about, because sometimes people like me, I read too fast sometimes, and then I don't get the story. Sometimes, like dyslexia, helps you read the story slower, and you actually understand the story better. Continue. Our English teacher.
Our English teacher, Miss Allen.
Yeah. How do you say? Do you know how to spell her last name? No. Why is her last name so hard to say?
Because there's like a Y in it. I don't know.
Yeah. Do y'all speak Spanish? Okay, so that's important as well, right? Because is it a hard thing to do or an easy thing to do? To write a short story.
Depends on the person. I think it's hard. I cannot write.
Yeah, Lola, is it hard to write a short story for you, or is it easy?
I mean, if I have to like think of a topic, then yeah, but if I'm like given a selection of them, I can go pretty easily.
She said the best story was Win a Bag and Pan Dulce.
Okay, pan dulce. All right, that's important as well, right? Okay, the best story. So pan dulce. That obviously, where do you think this is going? What kind of community is this?
Spanish.
Okay, so we already know Hispanic community, right? And do y'all like pan dulce? Is it good? Yeah? Okay, I like pan dulce. There's a competition to write a short story. Does that make it easier or harder for you guys to write the story?
It's harder.
Harder? Okay, why is it harder?
Because it's already hard enough for me just to write one for like an assignment. So like, let alone a competition, just longer pressure and it makes me want to do it even better.
So you want to do it better. So do you like the competition or do you want to write the story because of the pan dulce? Or
Both.
both? Okay.
I like winning and I want the food.
Oh, you like winning. Lola, do you care about winning?
Depends on what like I'm winning. So if it's like for bundles that I don't care because like I'm gonna buy that or make it.
Yeah.
But I think that being in first place is a nice feeling.
Yeah, you accomplished it.
Okay, what happens if you don't make first place? How does it make you feel? The only one kid gets pan dulce. Is that
different?
Yeah, you don't care.
Yeah, I don't.
What about you, Atticus? Do you care?
Depends on what the competition is.
Some people don't like to compete. Like some people just like to write. Just adds all this pressure, right? And then she says, when she said that, every kid in the class smiled with wide eyes because they're excited about the short story or the pan dulce. Do you think?
I'll do so.
Exactly right. And it had to be a story like Robin Crusoe. Do y'all know who that is?
No.
Me neither. I had to look it up. Okay, so but the author put that person in there for a reason, and so why, right? And so the story about Robinson Crusoe is it's a white guy on a ship, and he lands on an island, and the natives are after him, but then he marries the princess, and then everyone lives happily ever after. This is an imperialistic story, a story about colonialism, right?
Is it kind of like Pocahontas?
Yes, exactly, right? Like Pocahontas, this white guy comes in, he's like, hey, dude, and we grew up on those stories, but are those stories, especially in a Hispanic community, like,
Not very detailed,
Not
accurate.
true.
Yeah.
not true,
Like the
right?
real Pocahontas was like raped and
Mhm.
killed.
Yeah, it's happening in these stories. And now these Hispanic kids who are 8 years old, they have to write a short story about this guy, all right? Or it has to be like this guy. Lola, read the last line.
We had to pretend we were shipwrecked on a deserted island and describe what we would do.
Okay, how many of you guys have been on a ship? Okay, what kind of ship?
We went on a cruise and then we went on like a fishing trip.
Fancy. Yeah. Okay, cool. Did you have a good time? Was it fun?
I had a good time on the cruise, not on the fishing
We
trip.
both got sick.
I got so sick I like went unconscious. It sucked.
Yeah.
If it's on like a cruise ship, I'm cool with it, but since it was like a little boat,
I agree. I'm not about
I
it.
like speedboats.
You like speedboats? Well, you're crazy then, okay? Because that's scary. At 8 years old, were you ever on a boat at 8 though?
I was on a speedboat.
A speedboat.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's crazy. So, not everyone has that experience. He says it was hard for us to imagine because none of us had ever been on a ship. And the only island we had been on was Padre Island. You can write anything you want. Okay, so the English teacher says you can write anything you want.
Make your own.
You can make it your own, right? That sounds cool. Atticus, read that line right here.
Yes, anything, she said with a warm, trusting smile.
Yes, anything she said with a warm, trusting smile. Trusting. Do you trust trusting smiles? No. Why?
Because I don't.
Kind of stuff.
Yeah, someone just sit there smiling at me.
I know, okay, and then what if your teacher is sitting there and warm and trusting smile? Oh, guys, this is gonna be fun, she says with a warm, trusting smile. What do you? No. But she said, but okay, so, well, why do you not trust your teachers or?
That's like a witch, like come get this candy with like a warm, trusting smile.
Okay, so the author is trying to make you like, yeah, she wants to seem warm and trusting, but that's already your cue that something is not so trusting, right? Yeah, warm, trusting smile. Yeah, and you know, we don't tend to trust things that have authority. How many of you guys have seen a cop smile at you with a warm, trusting smile?
Yeah.
I thought about it all morning and during lunch.
Okay, good. I thought about it all morning and during lunch. Okay, so he's 8 years old and he's thinking about it all during morning and lunch. Is he thinking about it? What would be another word for thinking about it? Okay. Inspired.
No.
If you're thinking about something,
Reminisce.
if you're thinking about something all morning because your teacher's like, okay, you're gonna write a short story.
Stressing about it.
Stressing about it. That's right? He's worried about it. Okay, next line, Star.
On the playground, my friends and I were playing marbles, and all I could talk about was the story we had to write.
Okay, so again, stressing about it. And just read that last line, okay?
Ramiro and Ramos, who was burning ants with matches he had snuck into class, looked up from his favorite hobby.
Okay, so Ramiro Ramos was burning ants. What in that line, what else does that line tell you? Ramiro Ramos was burning ants with matches he snuck into school.
But he's not worried about it.
The one, he's not worried about it. The word, yeah, okay, so ooh, that's good. Another really good word, he's irreverent, which means that you're not worried about authority. Like, you're like, you don't take authority, you don't take authority seriously. Rodrigo Ramos was burning ants with matches he had snuck into school. What else? What else does that tell you?
It's brown ants.
He likes it. It's a hobby.
It's a hobby. He likes to do it. Is he a good guy or a bad guy?
He's a pyromaniac.
He's a pyromaniac. Is it just somebody that you want to hang out with?
Yes,
You want to hang out? Somebody you let your kids hang out with?
probably.
He
What
said
about-
actually no, because like they're playing with matches. Like at that, because they're 8.
Yeah, they're 8s. Right. He's
So
only
like other
8.
than if they were older, then okay.
Yeah. How old is too old to be burning ants? 9. 1 more year. You get 1 more year to burn ants, and that's it. And after that, you're in trouble. And he snuck him into school, right? And his favorite hobby. This boy has done this before, right? He likes to do this for fun. He's irreverent. He doesn't care about authority. He's gotten caught before. He's like, whatever, I'm gonna still do it. And you guys like him. You like him.
Yes, I think he would be pretty cool.
You think he'd be, well, the author, and this is actually a true story about David Rice, so this is a true story. This was his friend, and yeah, David Rice thought he was pretty cool too. Okay, good. All right, Lola, read the next line.
You heard her. She said we could write about anything we want. We can't get in trouble for writing what we want to write. He said as ants curled into a hot flame.
But Ramiro, who is irreverent, he has no respect for authority, or ants, yeah. I mean, what's going on here between him and the teacher? Like, he believes the teacher, right? How many of you guys have been burned before, not by Ramiro in the magnifying glass, or or by ants or anything like that, but where like somebody has let you down, but they somehow convinced you to trust them again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So even though Ramiro, David Rice and his names, is irreverent, doesn't respect authority. He is respecting his teacher who says, trust me, you can write anything. Okay. So a few days later, our teacher started inviting students to read their stories out loud in front of the class. I can't remember any of them, not even my own story, but I do remember Ramiro's. So it must be quite a story, right? He doesn't remember anybody's story but his own. When she called him, he got up and walked in front of the class and took a folded sheet of paper from his back pocket. He unfolded it several times and then he cleared his throat. So I want you to picture that, right? I want you to pick like Ramiro, like he's like, hey, he comes up, she calls on him, he comes up, he just takes it out of his back pocket. Kind of like how you turn in your homework to your math teacher and it's all crumpled up into a wad and you're like, here you go, yeah?
He accepted
Okay,
it.
so he accepted it, right? But like does a math teacher like, you know what? Atticus really respects his work.
His exact words were like, okay, great, you got this done.
Okay, he's just grateful that you got it done. Okay, so Ramiro he has it in his back pocket. He's like, do you think he's like walking up like, like shy? Is he afraid? No, he's not afraid, right? He's walking in confident. He's got it out of his back pocket. He's like folding it this way, this way, this way. And he says, this is my story. One day I was on a ship and it crashed on an island and there were monsters and they ate me. The end. All right. How do you think the teacher's going to react to that story?
Pretty pissed.
Why is she going to be upset?
Some kid just wrote a story about getting eaten. Just taught me like,
He wrote like,
Not
Yeah.
even, maybe like 5 sentences.
nah, like
Or like
two.
an essay.
But she said he could write anything.
sure.
Yeah, that's why you don't trust your teachers.
So, okay. So, and this is David. David says, I started laughing because I thought it was the funniest story ever, but the other students looked confused. Miss Ayala got mad and sent Vladimiro to the principal's office, and he was paddled 3 times. This is back in the day when you could hit your kids. He trusted his teacher. He got up there. He read his story. He got in trouble, and he was paddled 3 times.
Never again.
Never again. So the story is not about, what is the story really about? It's not about Ramiro getting spanked, right? Or getting paddled, right? Like,
Like exaggeration, like the literal meaning of like what she was saying.
He's probably not going to want to write again because he got hit. That's right.
death of a writer.
Okay.
Yeah. So she basically told the class, use your imagination, right? Use your imagination. And then when the kid did use his imagination, he was paddled. And that lesson wasn't just for Ramiro, that's for the whole class, right? David Rice, who is a writer, didn't become a writer until he was 27, was afraid to use his imagination for a really long time because if you do, even though they say that you can, it's death of a writer, right? So, okay. So it's not just death of a writer, like who's like, so there's a death of a writer, who killed the writer then? Who killed Ramiro? Who was it? Okay, but who hired the teacher?
Principal.
The principal. So is the principal responsible for the death of a writer?
No, well,
Kind of.
cause
She contributed it into it.
yeah, she hit him, but the teacher liked him.
He trusted the teacher.
You trusted
He
the
didn't
teacher.
trust the principal. He trusted
But the principal trusted the teacher enough to be in the classroom, right?
I'll say it was the teacher's fault. I don't think the principal was all like, because he didn't like make up the lesson and everything.
You think it's the principal's
I don't
fault for
think
hiring a
that-
teacher that doesn't allow your imagination to
I
explain?
would say the principal didn't give her the lesson. He just gave her like the teak, and she created the lesson. And that's how she decided to like.
The teak. That's well, that's what? Tell the world what is a teak. Tell the world what a teak is. But you know the word, right? I know the word. I'm a teacher too. What's a teak? You don't
The
know.
main topic.
Like what
or,
we're
like
learning.
subject that we have to like learn about like literature.
Yeah.
Like an objective. Like today after class, we'll be able to read a short story and understand it.
Okay, right. So the teak is a thing, the essential knowledge that you're supposed to get out of this lesson. And so it's not the teacher's fault because this is the teak that, who gave her the teak? Who gave the teacher the teak to teach this lesson? The principal. Well, then what, the principal made up this teach? Who gave that to the principal?
The government.
The government.
The state.
The state. So who killed Ramiro and the kids?
The state.
The state. But what about the kids in the classroom? Did anybody stand up for him? They all heard the teacher say, right, you can write anything you want. And when she sends him out, did anybody stick up for him?
It's like fake.
No. Yeah. So death of a writer, the murderer,
The teacher. The state. Yeah.
it's all of us.
Because everybody contributed.
Everybody contributed.
Like somebody did never spoke.
Nobody spoke up. Everyone did.
They're just accomplices. I think it was the teacher who pulled the trigger.
Right. Everything else is like, collateral damage or like, yeah. Okay. All right, cool. So in this little story, in lesson 348, there's all the things that are in the text that you have to learn for the star. It's like right here, foreshadowing, is metaphors, it's all of that. And deconstructing, this is what this method is just taking every single line and looking at it because it means something. Every line means something. So turn it over. We're just going to do one more story. Also a true story, David Bryce. But now that we know how to do it, it will go much, much faster. Okay, we have our next story. All right. Atticus, start.
Dove lesson.
There you go. You read it. Dove lesson. Okay, good. There's now to look at the title, right? When you think of a dove, what do you think of? A bird. Okay, so we think of a bird, right? What else do we think of when we think of a dove?
Don't doves usually signify like peace or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, peace. Anything else about when you think of a dove?
Flying.
Flying? Okay. All right, what about the word lesson? Is that a good word or bad word? Does it have good connotations, bad connotations?
Yes, that's a pretty good word.
Yeah? You learned your lesson?
Yeah, learning a lesson, teaching someone a lesson.
Teaching someone a lesson.
Could be good or bad.
It could be good or bad again, right? Because lessons, like I'm going to teach you a lesson, which you're going to go, oh, don't teach me a lesson, or today's lesson, I don't want to learn that, right? So lesson can be good or bad, right? A lesson learned usually means that you had to go through something to get it. We have a bird, flying bird, peaceful, and then there's a lesson. Again, this is a true story about David Rice.
I would say maybe a good lesson, because like a peaceful lesson.
Ooh, I like it. Yeah, so this is a good lesson. There's going to be a good lesson that comes out of this, right? Okay, good. Read the first line.
When I was first 12 years old.
Okay, good, perfect, 12 years old. Are we smarter at 12 than we were at 8?
Yes.
Okay. Are you a teenager at 12, do you think? Like preteen, okay. And you should know good and bad more so than when you're 8. Okay, good. Why don't you guys go ahead and read that the next line that comes right after it. I'm going to underline it.
I was awakened one morning by a dove outside my bedroom window.
Okay, so we're going to come back to that line. That line right now doesn't mean a whole lot, but it will mean something pretty soon. Okay. It wouldn't stop singing, and I wanted to get back to sleep. How many of you guys have experienced this? Like you're trying to sleep and the birds outside are just singing too loud?
Yeah.
What do you want to do to those birds?
Nothing. I just want to go back to sleep.
I just want to go back to sleep. Yeah.
It was fly away.
Yeah, just fly away. Well, read the next line.
After a few minutes, I got up, grabbed my faithful BB gun, walked to the back door, took steady aim, I shot it. Easy, it dropped like a rock.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
More recital.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So there's a couple of things here. Faithful, right? We got the word faithful. He's got more faith in his BB gun than he does in the singing of this dove, right? Immediately, he's 12 years old, right? Do you like this kid or not? Do you like David or not?
I don't blame
Just
him.
a bird for
You don't blame
He
him.
could have thrown or well.
I mean,
shoot it away or
yeah.
something.
You could have shoot it away. There were other things to
Or
do.
thrown a
I
rock
just don't like
at
that
it.
he did